So finally, I'd like to introduce our final speaker of the day, who's very kindly made time for us in his extremely hectic schedule, which I think reflects the importance of this agenda in Greater Manchester. So I'd like to introduce now Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester, who just build on some of those thoughts we've just been talking about. Over to you, Andy.
Thanks, thanks very much indeed, Phil. Sounds like it's been a brilliant afternoon actually, and good to follow on from the previous session. Just going to close things here, just so I've got Phil, I thought I'd just take a moment at the start to just recap how much we've achieved really in the last few years, because I think it's almost 4 years exactly since we had our first digital summit. Post the first mayoral election. It's
almost exactly 4 years, yeah.
Almost exactly 4 years, and I don't know if many people on this call today were there, but certainly Phil lost a bit more of his hair as a result of bringing that together in a case of 2 weeks, I think, or whatever it was when we threw that together. But it was a great event, actually. I remember there being a fantastic atmosphere there, and I pushed you, if you remember, Phil, to set new ambitions, big ambitions. The UK's leading digital city region, top 5 in Europe. And honestly, I can't quite believe how far we've come in that time on infrastructure, on inward investment, on skills. But inclusion, yes, we've made progress. And absolutely, I would be the first to say Salford City Council are one of our leaders in that regard. But I think this is a moment now to raise our ambitions. You know, if you go back a year or more, when we launched the blueprint, which was obviously trying to take us through this next phase of our development, I don't think we could have imagined, could we, what was about to happen when we all gathered to launch that blueprint. And what the last 14, 16 months has shown us is that the digital world is here and it's now, and it's not going away in any way, shape or form. And we have to get more ambitious for our residents in terms of their access to the digital world, because it's where the conversation is happening. And if they are not connected to that conversation, they are isolated, and they are not able to take a full part. But it's also where young people can find opportunity, friendship. It's where older people can find support. It's about access to public services. So where I've got to, Phil, with all of this is, if we are going to be the UK's leading digital city region, that just isn't an industrial statement, that is a social statement as well. And we should be the leader when it comes to what we expect in terms of people's entitlement to access the digital world. And it was basically in the middle of the first lockdown last year where our disabled people's panel did a survey of all disabled people in Greater Manchester. I think about 7,000 people responded. I was actually quite shocked, picking up on Adam's point that he just made, how much people were struggling to afford their online access and were making kind of compromises between, as Adam said, food or utilities. This has got to become the next utility, hasn't it? This is a basic, it's got to be a human right. And I think that's the statement that's got to come out from Greater Manchester. All of our residents should be supported online, because if they are not online, they are missing out on lots of things. They are not able to fulfill their potential or have that life that we would want for everybody. And that's where we are now, I think, post-pandemic. And hence the manifesto that I just brought forward, Phil, which really tried to sort of set some new ambition in this space. Digital inclusion, in my experience in the world of public governance, it was always the nice to have but the last on the agenda, and it's now got to move, I think, to the first on the agenda. If you're truly going to be a leading digital city region, I think you have to have a big statement about having all of your residents online. So in the manifesto for the last mayoral election, the one just gone, I made a commitment to helping all under 25s, all over 75s, and all disabled people online. Now, it does sound like a very big and ambitious statement, and some might say, is it achievable? But actually, what's the consequences of not achieving it? It's more social isolation. It's younger people cut off from opportunity. It's disabled people not able to access support. Or actually, if you look at some of what disabled people have said over the last year, for those who do have online access, they've said it's been transformative in terms of their life, in terms of being able to attend business meetings and not have all of the hassle that comes with being forced to attend meetings in person. So, there's a real moment in time here where we can be a leader in saying what we think is right for the country, but actually do it in Greater Manchester. And while it is ambitious, I believe there are enough devices in this city region for everybody to have one. So I don't think it is unreasonable for me to say to organisations in the public, private, voluntary, other sectors, come on, you can recycle your devices to get them round and get one in the hands of everybody. I think what we did see, of course, with the issue around schools was just it kind of when the tide went out on digital inclusion in schools, when kids had to do all that home learning, I think we realised just how many of our young people in the city region struggle to access not just a device at home, but also data on an everyday basis. And it's not good enough to say, well, there's one in the home, therefore 4 kids can share it. You cannot learn in that way. And therefore, it is about empowering every individual. So alongside the device, Phil, of course, there's the data, as Adam was saying. But again, we've got big tech players here. Surely there's things that can be done to open up affordable data for people. We've got public Wi-Fi as an option. We've got obviously organisations that have that could open up some of that access to their Wi-Fi. So I think there are solutions here. And then when we look at the whole question of digital skills, we've got the potential, obviously, to train young people, particularly to become the trainers of those who need that digital literacy as well. So there's a huge amount here. And I think this is about sending out a statement, not just what we want for our people and not just our ambitions to be a truly inclusive city region, but it is also a statement to potential investors in Greater Manchester, isn't it? That if you have all of your residents supported to be online, you are also, I think, making a clearer statement around the talent pipeline towards the digital sector. So it all does tie together. So Phil, I know there was obviously the task force, the digital inclusion task force, which already was doing great work. What we've tried to do is build on the model that we had through our work on homelessness. We had a homelessness action network, which really brought together a huge number of players in all of the different sectors across Greater Manchester. What we're trying to do now is replicate that approach in the digital world, where we build a network of huge number of players who are prepared to come with us on this journey, and that's really what we should be about in this next phase. These are solvable problems. I think we all saw in the pandemic, without making a political point, that the government didn't have the will necessarily to put all young people online, and the GM Tech Fund did a great job in getting more connectivity out there and devices out there. But it can't just be a sort of one-off for the pandemic. I think this has got to become a core part of what we do. There is an infrastructure now around food security for people through food banks. They shouldn't have to be there, but it is there, and we've built an infrastructure there to support people. As I was saying before, we've built an infrastructure around homes and homelessness that is there. I see this as another part of people's human rights and making sure that they are connected to other human beings. That's what this is about, isn't it? It's not about kind of throwing expensive tech at people. This is about, in a changed world post-pandemic, ensuring that all of our fellow citizens in Greater Manchester can connect to each other and therefore have all of the support and the opportunity that comes with that. It's about changing the debate, the terms of the debate. It's about lifting our ambitions. It's about sending out a powerful statement from Greater Manchester that we will not leave any of our residents behind or cut off. The truth of the matter is, if we don't act in this space, the risks, we've seen how the pandemic has exposed the level of inequality that we have in our society. If we don't do what I'm talking about, I think that will get greater, because as the world rushes into online working, it will further shut people out, and it will increase those divides between those who are in the room and those who are outside of the room. So I think it's about recognising how the world has changed, and Greater Manchester being the place that it is, seeing that quickly, being at the forefront of the change that is needed, and recognising that industrial progress and social progress always go hand in hand together. So yeah, I'll leave it there, Phil. I mean, I am making the call today and putting it out to everyone on this call. There is more you can all be doing, and there's more that we can be doing to solve this. This is a solvable problem if we put our minds to it, if we prioritise it in the right way. We have the means within all of our organisations within Greater Manchester to fix this. What we need to do is just become more organised in how we go about that work. So great. I've just been inspired by the conversations you were already having before I joined. There is so much to build on, but let's just sort of think about that. 2025 or 2024, if you like, at the end of the blueprint. If we can say that we have made a massive change with regard to the connectivity of our residents, as well as all the other things that we will point to around infrastructure and skills and inward investment, I think we will by rights be able to call ourselves the UK's leading digital city region. If we did the skills and the investment and the infrastructure, but didn't do the inclusion, then I don't think we would be worthy of that title, and we wouldn't be able to pat ourselves on the back about it, because we'd be an even more divided city region, and we're not gonna let that happen. So I hope that's helpful, Phil, to sort of bring things to a close today. It sounds like it's been a brilliant session. But I'm just going to finish by saying I could not be more grateful to you, all of our team at the GMCA, all of the wider digital community in Greater Manchester, who have massively stood forward in the last few years and have demonstrated that it's not words, it is deeds. We are making ourselves a digital leader, and I'm so proud of you all. Thank you very much.